Fernandez. Mr. Langworthy, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman. Representative McClintock, you point out an important piece of this bill is the provision that would allow states standing to bring civil cases against the federal government for failure to enforce immigration laws. What impact will this have on possible future open borders administration like the one the American people have just endured that refuses to enforce federal immigration laws?
Well, it'll simply assure that the law is enforced. And I might point out the standing provisions under this bill don't undo the will of Congress. They give states the standing to sue the federal government when it itself refuses to enforce immigration laws that the Congress has mandated. By ignoring the clear statutory mandates for the detention of illegal aliens, the Biden-Harris administration reversed the will of Congress, as clearly outlined in statute. This bill simply says that those who are already, under current law, required to be detained, that is, every person who's entered the country illegally, they have to be detained under current law while their asylum claim is being heard. This bill simply says if you've got an administration like the last one that's ignoring this law, and that same alien who's supposed to be in custody anyway is then arrested for committing other crimes against the American people, or for that matter against the immigrant community itself, they have to be detained. They're end of discussion, end of excuses. And I might also point out that it is the immigrant community that is the most at risk from these criminals, because they prey upon the people that they are associated with. So to say that somehow this is anti-immigrant, quite the contrary, that this assures the safety of the immigrant and native communities combined by getting dangerous people off the streets who should be in custody anyway.
Well, thank you.
And I agree with Mr. Raskin. The violence in this country is absolutely appalling, and I would offer this modest proposal that maybe we ought to remove dangerous criminals from our streets in response to the violence that we're seeing in those streets, particularly in Democratic-run cities that refuse to prosecute the criminals in their midst, and in fact protect the criminals who are illegal aliens through their sanctuary laws. This bill is a step toward taking back our streets from the violent predators who have been preying on us.
Hear, hear. Thank you. Now, as the sole New Yorker on this dais, but this is not strange to you, Mr. McClintock, as a Californian, I need to also raise the issue of sanctuary jurisdictions and the serious life-threatening damage that they have done to our communities. What role have sanctuary jurisdictions played in shielding illegal aliens who commit crimes like the murder of Laken Riley from being detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement and deported from our country?
Huge. Again, Laken Riley's killer was not convicted of theft. He was arrested for theft. Under this law, he would have been placed in custody as an illegal alien during the pendency of his asylum claims. What the Democrats are arguing is he should have been released. That's what the Democrats did. They had him released. And Laken Riley is dead as a result of that decision. We need to be clear what the sanctuary laws say. They say that when local authorities have a criminal illegal alien in custody, where that criminal is disarmed, instead of obeying federal law and notifying ICE so that they can be kept in custody until removed, that criminal is instead released right back into our communities. That was true of Laken Riley's killer. It was true of Jocelyn Nungary's killer. It was true of Sarah Root's killer, and so many others whose names we haven't attached yet to legislation, but who are just as dead and whose deaths were just as preventable. And now, under these sanctuary laws, law enforcement has to confront them when they are, not when they're unarmed, and in custody, but rather when they are armed and at large after committing other heinous crimes. This is absolutely insane. And what mystifies me is that the Democrats would support sanctuary policies that shield criminal illegals from deportation and instead release them back into our communities to prey upon not only Americans, but as I said, upon the immigrant communities from which they come. they say these sanctuary laws protect the immigrant community. There's no proof of that whatsoever. Indeed, an illegal immigrant family staying at the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City is far more likely to be victimized by these criminals and gangs than those who live perhaps in Scarsdale. Sanctuary laws do not protect the immigrant community. They protect those who are most likely to prey upon the immigrant community and, by the way, prey upon the rest of us as well.
And I just have to add that Laken's killer, he came to New York because there's the bright beacon of the sanctuary city laws in New York City that has been an attractant to this criminal element. And because of our ridiculous cashless bail system, he walked the streets right after he committed a crime and was able to go on to Georgia. And Laken would be alive today if we didn't have those laws in place in New York. And that is just, just devastating that it is just the wrong-headed policies that have taken us in this direction. I want to thank you, Representative McClintock, and I'll just finish my time here by reminding my colleagues that the American people voted for change in November. And that change included abandoning these asinine, life-threatening open borders policies promoted by the Biden administration. They voted for a president and a Congress who would work together to not only uphold our federal immigration laws, but to also hold jurisdictions accountable for providing so-called sanctuaries to those who break our laws when they come to our country, and to those who commit horrific crimes while residing here illegally. I am a proud co-sponsor of this legislation. I look forward to sending this bill to the President's desk later this week with the rest of my colleagues. And with that, Madam Chairwoman, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Langworthy.